So, this video is going to talk to you a little bit about the idea that language creates your reality. So, there's a very simple lesson that I can teach you. So, you can see my eyes finally. There's a simple lesson that I can teach you to think this through. I'm going to grab two items that are just naturally on my desk: my pen, which I really, really like. It's a very fine tip pen, and my phone. Okay. Which, if you notice, has my beautiful sun on it. It's besides the point, but let's make the video entertaining. So at this point, I'm going to ask you, and you're going to need to pause, and I'll say pause, but I need you to pause the video and think as I walk through this with you. So I want you to sit there and think, what's the difference between this phone and this pen? Pause it for a second. You can make a list if you'd like. You can just think about it in your head if you'd like, but try and consider as many ways you can think of that would use the differences between these. Now, I paused for a second, but hopefully you just paused the video. Now, I'm going to run through a couple with you, and then I'm going to actually do the activity. So I need you to start looking at the things that you have in your head or on the paper, and you go, okay, well, one's black, one's white. Okay, well, why don't we remove color from this description? Okay, well, that changes the way that we have to describe it. One is a phone, one is a pen. That's just a name, that's not a description. So let's get away from that. One is very skinny, and one can be kind of fat. Okay, let's get away from size descriptions. Okay. Not size, but shape. One is rectangular, it's like a box almost. And the other one is cylindrical, like a cylinder or like a can, right? Okay, well, what if I took away shapes? So far I've taken away their their names, obviously, their colors, their sizes, their shapes now. And so as I continue to ask you to think of this, I continue to remove bits and pieces of your understanding of the reality. Now, it just sounds like I'm just moving away from language. I get that. You're absolutely right. I am just kind of taking away your language. But without those differences, it becomes significantly more difficult for you to start to describe the differences between the two. So one writes physically, the other sends things digitally. But again, if we took away the purpose, I take away the differences again. And so the majority of the time, all I'm doing is I'm trying to find a way to lessen your ability to describe these two features. Because the more and more I take away your language, the more and more these two kind of features start to look the same. Now, I've done something else here and I've created a different perspective. If I just held this up like this, don't they kind of look the same? Your perception, the way that you look at reality and the way that you label it are the ways that you understand the world. Someone says that's left or right politically, you associate those things with left or right. Okay. So when I say this is a phone and this is a pen, you're capable of seeing those differences. But as I take those languages away from you, you are struggling to understand the difference between those two because you don't know how to say it. If I continued to take more and more language away from you, I would continue to limit more and more of your understanding of reality. An easy conversation that I have with my students about this is in Spanish, because you're Spanish speakers mostly. In Spanish, you don't have an actual direct translation to the word struggle. Now, in English, that was a word that I used all the time: struggle through it. In sports, you had to struggle. You had to feel the pain. You had to accept the pain. And you had to understand that that pain meant that you, through struggle, were getting stronger. Now, if I don't have that word in your language, in Spanish, do you understand that concept? Pause it for a second and think about, what is the actual translation for struggle? No, I paused. Hopefully you paused the video and you looked it up or you thought about it. I don't know. I've never really had a straight answer for it. I could Google it right now and get an answer, but that's not the point. Did you struggle to find an answer? Did you have to think about it for a second? Well, it means this, but that's not exactly the same thing that it means. Now, Let's bring it all together and let's take a breath. So, why am I talking to you about struggle? Why am I talking to you about reality? The way that you place your language is the way that your reality makes sense to you. Is it stupid? Was that cool? Did you have a good time? Are you looking forward to school or, oh my God, back to school? Those words create connotation or attitude and tone. And in that attitude and tone creates your reality. It's the emotion that you feel for it, it's the way that you perceive it. You don't have those perceptions without language. Now, you might have fear, you'll have hunger, you'll have your biological instincts to survive, but you don't have the creativity to think beyond that without some kind of language. That can be the language in your mind, that annoying voice that says, ew, this is hard. Or if you change your perception, you got this. Now, when you look at these activities that I'm asking you, and you're about to go talk about the allegory of the cave, I need you to consider that perception, the way that you choose to see things, is a major part of your reality. But you work through language. Your understanding of the world, whether it be mathematics or literally a spoken language like ours, those are types of communication pieces. And therefore, your language is your reality.